Well, I'm back. My last podcast was March 20th. It was the medical podcast. And I haven't taken this long off from doing this since I started. And I'm not sure why. I actually think that maybe telling that story and spilling my guts to the world kind of emptied me out a bit. And I didn't have anything to talk about that I felt was important. Everything just seemed so um, irrelevant. Like talking about tennis after that, I don't know, didn't interest me for a while. I guess I was just dealing with other stuff and somewhat focusing on getting better, getting back to work, normal stuff. And I lost my motivation a little bit. So I'm not sure how good this is going to be. I'll do my best. I had one in mind. I'd been sort of keeping some notes and I just never got to it. So for this is episode 76. 76 times I've tried to do this. I'm not going to go backwards very much. I'll give some updates. I'm going to go through my long list of random stuff, and then I do have some tennis stuff. Um, so medical update. I'm good. I'm not 100%. I'm in the 90s probably. My struggle now is just hills, stairs, uphill, anything that causes sort of more exertion. I played tennis a couple of times and got my heart rate up. I did run a half marathon, so that's different though. If you've ever run one, it's sort of the same pace the whole time. I did okay, but it wasn't like the ups and downs and really pushing it. Took me forever. Felt awful. Laid in the grass for about 30 minutes, considering going to the medical tent because I thought I made a bad adult decision. And then later, like I said, about half an hour later, I was pretty good. Just general soreness, but not sick. Didn't hurt myself. It was just something I needed to do for a mental victory to let myself know that I can do this. Every year I judge myself on that race. If I can run 13.1 once a year, I feel like I'm okay. I'm healthy. And so I needed that for myself. Plus, it was an awesome weekend. So I got that done. If you follow me at all on social media, and I've been lacking on that too, but everything I post now is about dogs. So we're getting a puppy. My family's getting one. June 19th is pickup day, a golden doodle. So if you follow along on Facebook or social media, you can help us choose. We are the fifth pick in the draft out of 9 puppies, and we've gotta decide which one we want by June 7th, and then pick up on June 19th. So that's going to be awesome and exciting, and I'm terrified. And it'll be the first dog for our household ever. And but if you want to check them out, we have to choose between 9 of the coolest dogs ever, and that's going to be a challenge. But we're sort of narrowing it down now. If you got any puppy advice, let me know. I'd be glad to hear it. You can text me, call me, see me on social media, but I'd love to hear. I found out recently that tennis balls are terrible for dogs. Turns out it's the one thing I have an unlimited supply of. That apparently the toxins in the felt are terrible for them, and they cannot digest the rubber of a tennis ball, so it can cause serious sort of internal problems, kind of like what I had. Maybe I swallowed too many tennis balls in my lifetime, but that's coming soon. I also, since my last podcast, I did make my trip to Tennessee with my buddies Freaka and Niche. It was awesome. If anybody's looking for a place to go to Sevierville, Tennessee, book the Treehouse Sanctuary Resort, and you won't be disappointed. It's fantastic. It is about 10 minutes outside Pigeon Forge, about 25-30 minutes from Gatlinburg, and it's far enough away from the chaos and crowds of those areas that by the time you get home from whatever you did that day, you are in the middle of nowhere, peace and quiet, up in a treehouse, and it's glorious. So the coolest thing that came out of that was my buddies and I learned that they had invented a thing called a heated toilet seat. And fortunately for my 50th birthday, Freaking Niche shipped me a heated toilet seat, and it is fantastic. I didn't know I needed it until I got to use one, and it is amazing. So I highly recommend that as a luxury item to your household. are heated toilet seats. Also, since, as you know, since the last time we talked, I turned 50, big birthday. Thanks to the WAC for making it a big deal over like a week. Um, they really took good care of me, and it's much appreciated. Got to be at my parents' house on my birthday. It's been, I don't know how many years since I've actually been in their house on my birthday. So thanks to them and my family for making it a big deal. But I made 50. Hopefully, all my medical stuff is in the rear view mirror. But I feel good. All right, let's get some random stuff. These were things that were on my list over the last 8 to 10 weeks. I'm going to run through them quick. Um, Caitlin Clark. I just wrote it down here because I think it's just amazing what she's done for basketball, for women's basketball in general. I have watched more WNBA games than NBA games lately. Anytime she plays, I got to find it, and it reminds me of back in the olden days where I got to watch the greatest ever, Michael Jordan. You didn't miss a game. My buddies and I, if he was playing, you found it, and we were Pacers fans. Grew up in Indiana. We watched the Pacers and Reggie Miller, but when Jordan was playing, we watched him, and she's a must watch, I think, if you're a sports fan. Um, Doing okay, scoring points, struggling a bit, which I think is kind of cool to watch somebody go to the next level and try to make that transition. It's a tennis player going from a 3-0 to a 5-0 in a few weeks, going from college to the WNBA. It's a totally different game, and they're beating the heck out of her. But the incredible um, confidence she has. Couple other rando things that I wrote on here. I don't think I talked about, but did you guys know that we landed on the moon a couple of months ago? I heard it. I heard it on the radio. And when did landing on the moon become something we don't celebrate and talk about and know about? And I had no idea. I heard it on a talk radio show that we landed on the moon, and nobody cared. What a world we live in. Maybe we'll all get to go to the moon someday. Um, Here's a question for you. No, I'm gonna skip that. That's really stupid. All right, let's get to baseball stadiums. Again, I do have tennis stuff and coaching, I promise, but it's been a while and I don't know what I'm doing in this stuff. So when I'm president, because I know on this podcast I have mentioned lots of times where if I was president, I'm going to remove all Major League Baseball teams who do not have a retractable roof or a dome to play in. I think in the times we live in right now, if someone, let's take my family and let's say all five of us, we buy tickets to go see the Cubs, right? You spend that much, you're going to spend hundreds of dollars on tickets, transportation, maybe time off of work, like clear your whole schedule for a full day, possibly hotels. And you have a high chance of going to a place like this and not getting to see that product. I think it's crazy. And how does a major league sports team allow that? And I brought it up because Cubs and Cardinals got rained out a couple of days ago, and then another game got delayed, and it butchers the schedule all up. I love Miller Park. I still call it that. It doesn't matter. I can buy tickets a year in advance and know I'm going to that game. It is not changing. I can't imagine being in a market with a baseball team that it might rain. I might not get to go. I might have done all this for my schedule and spent all that money and not get to go to the game. So when I'm president, any baseball stadium without a retractable roof will be destroyed, and the team will be moved. No, the team will have to move to another city of my choice, Indianapolis. It'll be the Indianapolis race cars. Speaking of race cars, which is a bigger event in the world, general population of America, the Indy 500, the Kentucky Derby. So I watch one horse race a year, the Kentucky Derby. It ran a couple of weeks ago. It was awesome, close finish, incredible. 150,000 people. And then yesterday I watched the Indy 500 because being from Indiana, it's a requirement. And that's the only car race I will watch all year long. Which one is bigger? Well, Indy has 300,000 people in one place. I've been to it. It's overwhelming. If you haven't been, you need to go. I've been to Churchill Downs. It is massive too, but Indy's twice as big. But I think the general population has derby parties and they wear the stupid hats or great hats if you're a hat wearer, I guess. Get all dressed up. Gambling, I think, is bigger. But the Indy 500 is a much bigger event and volume of people, and it lasts the whole month. The race lasts about 4 hours. Kentucky Derby takes about 2.5 minutes. I'm probably 500 just because of where I'm come from, but I think most people would say the Derby. But if you'd like to weigh in, I'd love to hear your comments on that. All right, some tennis stuff, and then we'll be done. I'm going to bounce around a little bit. I tried an experiment this past week because one of the struggles I've had my entire career of being in a leadership or management or tennis director or GM position is finding homes for brand new players, beginners, adults. I'm talking beginners who maybe have never played, they've never picked up a racket, they don't own a racket, they know nothing, a zero, 0.0 in the NTRP ratings. It's very, very difficult at any club I've been at to find a home for them and get things started because tennis is difficult and it's a very small pool. Recently, we got lucky or good, and we got sort of a small group of brand new players. And I was able to find some time and start the process. And so I finally got a group, three brand new, never played before, right? Two of them I had to give rackets to. I decided I'm going to skip all the boring stuff, the drop feeding, the putting them in a line, the showing them how to hold a racket, what things are, what shots are named, what the lines mean. I skipped it all because I think it's boring and I feel like we lose players because we force them into practicing for so long and then way down the road to get to play a match. So I had this idea, I'm going to experiment with these players. We're just going to start. So I took them on court. We started half court. I didn't tell them a thing other than I'm gonna hit this ball to you, and you're gonna let it bounce once, and then I want you to swing at it. You're gonna hit it back. That's it. I just told them if the ball comes near you, swing the racket. That's it. I gave them zero technical stuff. You might be thinking, what an awful coach. Well, this is my experiment. Within about 10 minutes, I brought in how to move with your partner, following the ball, going right and left, switching, all the strategy. I had them going in 10 to 15 minutes while we're bopping a ball back, mini tennis style, hitting balls over the curtain, swinging and missing. But guess what they were doing? They were laughing. They were competing. They were getting exercise and sweating versus the old school, what I've always done and was taught to do, and what many coaches do with beginners is stand them on the baseline, drop feed them balls, teach them all these technical skills, and then maybe sometime months down the road we'll learn to play tennis. And so I'm just doing an experiment. So I moved to the baseline. I'm like, just keep going. I'm going to hit a ball into the court. It's going to bounce. Whoever's closest to it, swing at it. We started playing points. We had rallies of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits back and forth, new players. We also had the awesomeness of swinging and missing and laughing and bombing them over the curtain and hitting them onto the wrong court. And I was able to use all of those things to teach what the lines mean and what, we want to keep it in the blue. And what's that? Why is it the service line when you serve from the baseline? All those types of things actually happened while we were playing. So I kept going with it. It was going well. We were having fun. Then I'm like, we're going to start a match. I told them where to stand, returner, all the four spots. I was the server, and they don't know how to score, don't know how to play. And I basically said, hey, I'm going to serve this ball into that box. You're going to hit it back. Everybody start in their places, and we started playing. We played games. We probably played 5 or 6 games keeping score, and they had no idea what they were doing. And we had rallies, and they figured it out. And I'm starting to believe that I failed, I don't know, hundreds, maybe thousands of adult tennis players. I might have failed them because I'm switching gears that I think we need to teach new players how to play tennis before we teach them how to swing tennis. Does that make sense? And some of this comes from pickleball. In the pickleball world, within 30 seconds of a beginner lesson, new players we're hitting. We're dinking back and forth. We're playing. We're laughing. We're smashing things. And I've noticed that that vibe is so much more social and enjoyable and exercise. And then in pickleball, I add, we'll dink. All right, we figured that. Now we're going to volley. Here's the kitchen line rule. Right? All right, now we're going to go to the baseline. Here's the serve and return rules. Here's what the lines means. And in pickleball, we're playing a match, and we can be playing a match in 15, 20 minutes if I do it right. And we still work on the skills. So I'm trying that with the adults, and so far, I think it might be a good way to do it. So my question for anybody that still listens to this: what was your experience if you're an adult? What was your experience starting? If you can think all the way back to didn't know what you were doing. Was it the standard line drills, coach tossing you balls, telling you the science and physics of all that crap? Or did you get to play tennis? Um, anyway, I'm pumped about it. It makes me want to teach more. It makes me want to take on those adult players a little bit more because I think I have a better way. I have invented a new way to play tennis. I actually think I'm just way behind everybody else. I'm going to encourage my staff to, hey, you get a beginner, start hitting with them right away. See what they already have. That goes along with my philosophy of coaching is let's find out what the player's already good at or already knows how to do before I start telling them what we need to do. Maybe they're good at something. Maybe they already have a certain skill or they played I'll get a baseball player, softball player, golfer. They already have certain skills. Let's see those. Generally, they all have good follow throughs. They've got strong grips. So instead of just telling them this is a forehand, this is the grip, all this stuff, let's see what they got first. But I'd be curious in what any of your experiences were, if you can remember, as an adult beginner player. And if you're coaching and listening to this, give it a shot. There's no harm in it. They had fun, and we're going to do it again, I think. So anyway, shoot me up on an email, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. You know where you can find me. Tell me your experience if you don't mind. So another thing happened on the court I thought was interesting. Again, it's sort of I don't know if it's the time off, but my some of my tennis philosophies and coaching are evolving. Maybe they should. I'm 50. Maybe they should be completely evolved by now, and I'm just don't know what I'm doing. But I had a player Saturday morning. We were just playing a doubles drill, one up, one back, feed the returner, play out the point. Super easy, basic. It was kind of a warm up thing, but they're playing. A player I was feeding the ball to, all forehands right to her, probably missed 6 to 8 to 10 in a row. Fed forehands directly to the strike zone, hit them long every time, over and over and over, hitting too hard. And this player yells at me. I say yells, just I don't mean was mean. It wasn't a negative. This was not a negative experience. Um, and you've all heard it if you're a coach, or you've done it if you're a player. Looked at me and yells, "What am I doing?" And I said, "I'm not telling you that." She says, "What am I paying you for?" I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. Well, I told her that she's paying me to help her become a better player by thinking independently and not relying on a coach and having that crutch of somebody to turn to. Because you get in a match, you don't get a coach. You don't get to stop the match and ask someone to fix you, right? That's why we don't get coaches. It's an individual sport. And I would say annoyed is the word I would say she was with me. Um, and I talked to the whole group after this. It's not quite done, but after this, and basically told them that they want someone to tell them exactly how to fix everything every single time. They need to find someone else. I'm not that guy. Because in a match, never going to have it. You don't get a coach during that match. You have to problem solve by yourself. So anyway, she kept going and she proceeded to correct herself, and she went on 17 straight forehand swings on the first ball without an unforced error. She went from, like I said, it's probably 6 to 10 long to 17 straight without missing, and I didn't tell her a single freaking thing. Not once. I told her, I'm not telling you, work it out. She figured out she was simply hitting too hard. It's just a hard, flat ball, and they were all going long. She backed off by 5% and fixed it herself. And that's match style. I think for players, if you're in a group and every single time you screw up, your coach tells you how to fix it, find a new coach. That's not coaching. That's telling you what to do. A good coach gets you to perform on your own without that instant looking at the coach. I have it all the time. Somebody misses, they look at me. They miss another shot, they look at me like it's my fault. I'm not the one swinging the racket. Start to look at yourself a little bit. What would I do in a match? I tell all my players, listen, if this was a match, what do you do right now? If I leave, I walk up to the lobby, I start watching, what do you do? And I thought this was a great example of someone working through it even when they didn't want to. They wanted an answer from me. And the answer would have been stop hitting so freaking hard, right? Maybe lob one, maybe try something. Just don't hit dozens in a row the same way. And this story sort of leads me to, as I've talked about a little bit, I had a good conversation with Jack, who was on my podcast a few episodes ago, about our coaches understanding what people's expectations are. I think that was his word, is managing their expectations and working with them. For instance, I had a player recently, one of the newer beginner players. She came to me. I just happened to be assigned her, and it's great, but because all she wants to do is be able to hit tennis balls with her 10-year-old son, because she's said she's struggling to find things that they can do together. So he's in group lessons, and she just simply wanted to know the basics so she could hit with him. So knowing that, I didn't start off with crazy techniques and topspin and open stance and even the proper grips. I started off with, hey, let's get you to a point after a couple of hits that you can go out and rally with your 10-year-old, right? Finding ball to the strings, right? A decent follow here. We went over all the technical stuff, but very quickly, because her goals were different. If she would have said, hey, I want to be a 4-0 in 2 years from nothing, and we're taking a different path. But understanding who you're working with and not trying to push them in a direction they don't want to go. I think so many coaches are so focused on their students have to have the perfect swings. It's not true. You don't have to have a perfect swing. Look at some of the pros. They got wild swings. But I just think it's important that the coaches understand that. And on your end, if you're a listener and you're a player, be clear with your expectations with your coaches. If they are trying things with you that you're like, I don't need this, this is too high level, or that's not what my goal is. If they're talking to you about winning your league and all you want to do is have some fun with your buddies, make sure you have that conversation with them. I used to go golfing many years ago, pre kids, when I had time to get out and spare 4 or 5 hours. I'd go golfing with my buddies, Gordy, Lee, Rob, Alf D, Schreier. I think Rec went with us. And Gordy, one of my favorite people in the world, probably the best golfer of the group, he used to try to coach me because he wanted me to be good. I have a terrible slice. Every time I hit the ball, slices off to the right. And I just decided to change my stance, and I'd aim so far to the left. And he would tell me how to fix it. And I had to tell him, always told him, Gordy, I don't give a shoot whether I fix it or not. I'm not here because I want to get my golf game better. I'm here because I want to hang out with you. I want to have a beer when we're done. I want to catch up. I want to hang out with my buddies. And so once the people around me knew my expectations, no one tried to coach me anymore. I'm uncoachable in that world because I don't want it. It's just not, my goal was never to be a good golfer. It was to go out and have some fun. And I think I have to be better at that as well. But I'd encourage all of you, have a conversation with the coach and make sure you're on the same page. And if you're not, it's easy to get there. Just have that conversation. I heard something the other day. This is sort of technical. It's going to be short. I read it or saw it. May have stolen it from Instagram, but the lesson was basically that on the court, when you're moving, your direction is more important than your speed. And I found it's sort of what I teach. I teach adults. We're not as fast anymore. I'm not as fast. I teach older adults. They can't go as fast as they used to. I can't run as fast as I used to. But if I run in the correct direction right away, I don't have to be fast. I'm more efficient. I always tell people, listen, you wanted to go to Florida, but you drove 2 hours north first. You got to Florida late, right? So it's understanding that make direction when you're moving on the court more important than your speed. If you move in the right direction right away on time, you don't have to run. You don't have to sprint. You're going to make it. You can make up for a lack of speed that you may have used to have, but you don't have anymore, right? Move in the right direction more than just running really fast and going all over the place, if that makes sense. You take better angles. If you're at the net, move diagonally instead of going like move to the right and then turn up. If I want to go to the lake downtown, I need to go east the whole time. I don't need to go south for 5 minutes and then turn east. I just can, where I live, I can get on 94 and head straight east and I run into the water. Just think about that when you're playing. If you're struggling to get to a ball, did you go in the right direction first, or did any of your steps, were they inefficient? Did you take off right when you really needed to be angled forward? So just think about it. I think it's a great way to overcome some changes in speed over time, which I have too. Um, so getting a bit back to my medical stuff again, this is still on tennis. I think most players are struggle to find the primary reason for their losses or even individual mistakes, and they're very, very reactive to what just happened. So when I went before the hospital, I had symptoms. I just didn't know it. I wasn't seeing them correctly. I was tired. I was lightheaded. I couldn't finish a day at work. I didn't diagnose those at all. I just thought I'm 50. This is how we feel. Um, and it took multiple. Well, it took a visit to the ER and a doctor to find the primary cause. I was just reacting to the symptoms. I was um, just leaving work early, taking naps. Like those were I was reacting to the symptoms of my stuff, but I never found the primary problem until it almost killed me. And many players look that way. They see symptoms. I hear it all the time. Um, I keep getting my example I wrote down here was I keep getting lobbed. Well, that's just to me that example. That's just a symptom of a bigger problem. Why do you keep getting lobbed? Is it because you keep hitting it directly to the person who we all know is the best lobber? Everybody's got one in their courts who just is a master lobber. Stop hitting on the ball. And many people in that case, their solution to me is I have to learn to run faster. No, you don't. That's ridiculous. You're not going to learn to run faster in the middle of a match. Why don't you stop hitting it to them? Why don't you stop giving that person the types of situations that they enjoy and are able to lob you? Bring them in, hit short balls, hit wide balls, hit it hard. It's harder to lob off. Don't lob them because they're better than you. They're going to lob you back. So the symptom is you're getting beat on the lob. But the primary reason is because you keep hitting it to them, right? Or you're not very good at reading their racket. You don't remember history. Oh, they lobbed 17 times. No wonder they lobbed an 18th time, right? Your opponent keeps attacking you. They're always at the net, right? You don't have to get your passing shots better. That would be too reactive. You got to look at why are they always at the net? Maybe they don't even like coming to the net. It's because you keep hitting short balls. You keep hitting balls down the middle of the court. You don't have enough depth. You're not hitting enough topspin, right? You don't have to go to, oh, my passing shots have to get better. No, you go to why are they there all the time? Why is there always stress on me, right? And we've got to start looking for those things, understanding why things are happening and looking backwards. We're getting beat down the middle. Why, right? Doesn't mean we have to start standing right next to each other and build a wall. Maybe we're giving them shots that are so easy. We're hitting down the middle, which is more likely to come down the middle. Who is it? Right? We talked about this, Tim and I, with the drill this past week, and we worked our issues out, but somebody's got an overhead, and I'm the net player. I'm not moving. I'm not going to run away. I'm going to watch the racket goes up. Where do the feet go? Oh, they're stumbling backwards. Oh, for the last 2 hours, they've shanked overheads and whatever. They're not a hard hitter. I'm not scared of that power. Then I'm going to stay. But I see so many people. As soon as someone puts the racket up in the air for an overhead, they run away and hide. That's silly. You're not. You're just quickly reacting to what you see, but not what you know. If that makes sense, right? So I think as you play, try not to be reactive to every single point. Look at big picture. Why are things happening? Not reacting to when they happen. Just don't let them happen anymore. If that makes a it all makes sense. I'm not sure it does, but I'm looking at my list. That might be all I got this time. I know it's been a while, and this was probably not very good. But I needed to get started on it, and hopefully it wasn't dreadful. I want to give a quick thank you to my buddy Jack, Annie's boyfriend in California. You heard some new music at the beginning of this, and Jack hooked me up with some new summer vibe music for my podcast, so you'll hear it at the end as well. But thanks, everybody. That's all I got. Remember, you can follow me Facebook, Instagram. These are also on YouTube if you like to watch. I don't know what you want to watch me sit in front of my phone in Annie's old room, but if you're a YouTuber, you can do that as well. So thanks, and I hope to do more as soon as I find some more motivation. Thanks, everybody. Talk to y'all soon. See ya.